morning, YouTube. My name's tirednerd. Today I'm here with my good friend Tony from UC Berkeley, right?
Well, I'm actually from Montebello, but I go to UC Berkeley sometimes.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't claim UC Berkeley.
There you go. I'm sorry.
All good. No, it's all good.
So I have my friend Tony. Today he came back from visiting UC Berkeley, and he just wanted to talk and stuff. So I was like, yeah, why not? We were gonna have Jacob here, but Jacob couldn't make it. He had other prior arrangements. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me. It's like super chill. It's in a room.
No, yeah, I think that's pretty dope what you're doing, actually. That's why I was like, I contacted Jose. I was like, yo, Jose, I thought that's cool what you're doing. Could I like join or something? Like, nah, I don't know. I just want to like talk to people. I don't know. I just don't want to like stay in my room the whole time and break, you feel me?
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, no, I completely understand. That sounded pretty depressing.
No, yeah, I mean,
I could just imagine you just sitting on your bed eating saltines and looking at the ceiling.
No, yeah, no, that's pretty much all I do, and I do no, but like not in a bad way,
Yeah,
sometimes
no,
I just like
definitely.
sometimes I just like chill. You gotta chill sometimes. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you definitely.
Yeah.
So how is Berkeley? I've never been there. I have a friend that goes there though.
Yeah, actually, I didn't go to. I declared that I was going to Berkeley without even like visiting the campus first. So it was like. So I was like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it was like one of those things where I just wanted to get away from LA,
Yeah.
But I think it's cool because it like allowed me to see things differently, and like not even like because of shit that I learned there, but also like stepping outside of like Montebello or like LA, like where it lets me see things differently. It lets me see like my family situation differently as well, where I'm able to like kind of like be outside of the situation where I'm able to understand it a little better, which is, I think it's necessary to a degree. And even just coming back here home, allowing me to like step away from Berkeley, it allows me to like kind of like regain my energy, kind of like be more appreciative when I go back and be like, all right, cool, like I have freedom here. Whereas when I'm here in Montebello, it's like I have to like be with like my parents and like understand their roles and shit like that.
Yeah, you have a 10 o'clock be at home.
Yeah, no, 9:30.
9:30.
Just after that, no, back
close.
Get out
Shops
with
closed.
the dog. Yeah. All good though,
I feel you, definitely.
But what about you? How's it? How's your time here?
Time here at ELAC's pretty good. It's decent. I mean, I lost a year of college, so it's kind of like, technically it's like when I go for scholarships, it's like, or like just any paperwork, it's like, what year in college are you? My third. But isn't it technically like your second? Yeah. So it's like on ELAC's paper, it's like, hey, this is your second year here, but on the overall scope, it's my third year in general college, and so it's kind of like whatever. But I never was introduced to the whole freedom thing. I kind of had it a little bit in Cal City, but it was still more like, you have to be home by 10, or te voy,
No,
like, it was that kind of thing. So it's like, all right, like, me vas a decir dónde estás, you're gonna tell me where you are. But I never get experience, but I was like culture shocked a lot, like in Casa de Ley. Like the majority was like not, like people were like, majority's Latino. I'm like, no, not really. The people I hung out with were majority Asian, white, or African American. So I never really, or Indian. I had a lot of Indian friends, or a lot of like Eastern European friends would go to Casa de Ley. So it's really weird. And then the political climate was different. And I visited Casa de Ley, and I was like, I don't want to come here, but it's my only choice. So it was kind of depressing, but I mean, I'm happy where I'm at doing this. So it's cool, yeah. But I'm really glad to have you here, especially from hearing when you. No, yeah, definitely. Thank you for like listening to at least some of the podcasts or some of the episodes I've previously uploaded.
No, fuck
I didn't get to upload Thursday because it was just acting ridiculous. Like it was like the quality's too high. It's like, okay then.
No, fuck yeah. I love like supporting people doing cool shit, and I think it's cool when people like, I know are doing cool shit. Like even if you have like, like even you with your friends or whatever, just chilling, but like being able to put up shit and being like, yeah, like here everybody, like check out what we're doing. I think that's hella dope and hella like courageous and stuff. So I'm like, damn, like I like I'm down to support it anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for thank you so much for saying that. Yeah. Really excited to have you on. Moving on from here, though, from our personal lives. You had some comments that you wanted to talk about on the free speech, women's march, and women's
Women's march, yeah.
the women's march podcast or episode that I uploaded last week, 2 weeks ago, or around there. And I just wanted to know what exactly those were, because he said, "Yeah, I want to talk about it," and then that was it. I was like, "Oh God, I'm nervous."
No, don't be. You know what the fuck? No.
I'm like, but I gotta accept my, whatever other opinions people say.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's dope that you're down to like hear my opinion. But there's a lot that goes like with marches, especially. Not only with like women's marches, but like even like the March for Our Lives march and like other marches where like a lot of it has to focus with like a certain population. So it's like when we talk about like women's marches, it's like for what women, because not all women. True. It's like not all women is being represented in these marches or in these movements or whatever you want to call them. So like mostly when I think of like marches, I think of mostly like the dominant culture, the dominant like whatever. The dominant whatever is always like mostly like white folks, white like rich folks. So it's like these women that are marching are like women that, first of all, that have the time to be marching and don't got work or whatever. No, but I'm just kidding. Like, like there's like certain privileges that go into like even being able to like present yourself on marches.
Definitely.
And it's like also like who are you centering in your movement? And in this movement with the Women's March, it's like mostly like white women that have been like, because women of color and especially Black and Indigenous women have been saying like, like we're being hella like marginalized. We're not getting shit, and we've been fighting for our shit. But like once white women start talking, then that's when people start paying attention. So it's like also like who are you centering in your movements? Same thing with the March for Our Lives. It's like that's cool, like that people in the youth is like moving and like there's movement and like people are like listening and there's like public attention that's being brought to these things. But it's also like who's at the center of these movements, and it's like white youth again, and it's that's like black and brown youth and Indigenous youth have been like being like have faced like gun violence, like
every day. It's like a norm. For them it's just tailgating the whole march. It's like, oh hey, we're finally marching about this.
And even then it's like gun violence also comes from police. It comes from like fucking the fucking state, from like fucking the government is also plays a part in this gun violence, but like people are saying like regulations and whatever, and I'm just like, I don't know, there's a lot that goes into it, but it's just also like being conscious of like these movements have a focus of a certain population. So you gotta be conscious about, not conscious, but just
aware.
Aware of it. Yeah, I don't know. I say conscious a lot, but it's just like I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. When I use that word.
It's okay. You're good. You're good. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Because you do see that a lot. Like, I remember I went over an article with my theology professor back at Cal State. I forgot his name. I should remember his name. But he teaches at Cal State Fullerton and Cal State. And he said, he talked about the whole feminist movement and what true feminism was, and how he went to a summit, right? And it was meant for women, but men could sit in and obviously listen, but they couldn't really participate in a lot of the activities because it was morely directed to women, but some activities let them participate. And a lot of the articles that we covered was like that the forefront of the summit, of the one major summit that feminist movement had all around the world, was led by Indigenous people. It wasn't led by white women. It wasn't led by any other majority, or what is now becoming the minority. It was a majority Indigenous people. And that summit was it was part of the whole feminist movement in Mexico, Central America, Southern America, because they were trying to push forward like what really is feminism. Like, you can't be quiet anymore. The woman has to stand up. And it featured speakers like Rigoberta Menchú, I forgot the others. Oh gosh. And there was a lot of other speakers, and they all had their own interpretation of feminism. Some had a radical viewpoint, some had a very mellow kind of approach, but at the end, back at the argument, they were spearheading it because feminism in the Spanish culture or the Hispanic culture or Latino culture, it's really not there. Like, they don't think it's feminism, but it's feminism. So it's really hard to say, hey, you're a feminist, because in today's day and age of media, people pretend feminist is my way or the highway, and it's kind of like skewed and whatever. And these Indigenous women were like, no, being a feminist is getting the equivalent right, not only for yourself, but for the entirety of your people. It's not just, you know, us as women getting whatever we want, whatever we deserve. It's kind of like Malcolm X's viewpoint back then in the civil rights movement, sort of, where he was just like, no, we want to be equal to the white man, not with equivalence to the white man. And that's kind of like where Jacob and I were trying to argue, where it's like a lot of that issues in today is an issue in today's day and age, where it's more like we want to be equal to that level, but we don't want to be a part of that equivalent level. It's like I don't know what to say. It's like saying we want to be at this level, let's say level A, and we don't care what you say because that group is on level A. We want to be on that level A. And group A is like, well, yeah, I'm for it if we're all equal. Like if I, group A, are equal to you, equal B, group B, no matter what we are doing. That's what we're fighting for. And then group B is like, no, I want to be at that level, but without your restrictions. It's like, there are no restrictions. It's just being at the same group. I don't know what I'm just trying to say, like in the physical, thing. It's like, I want to get at this level, but I don't want to be at that level if it's not by my way, if we don't get to that level. And it's like, that's kind of selfish. It's just being selfish in a sense, what I'm trying to say. But at the end, back to the argument, it's like saying majority of these women are white. It's true, and we see that, and that causes sort of like a disbalance where it's like you're not representing a legit general group. You're just broad. It's really broad. It's really vague. It's really opaque group of women you're representing. You're not really representing women in general. Like if you were representing women in general, you'd be fighting not only for the rights in the U.S. but for women's rights all over the world as well. And that kind of brings the issue where it's like, are you really a feminist or not? So I can see your viewpoint though. Sorry, we strayed a lot from that.
No. I think that's good. I mean, also like, I think a lot of it is also like, well, what is feminism? And it's really not up to me to like be like, you're a feminist or you're not a feminist. Like,
no, definitely.
Whatever. Like I could care less whatever you else consider yourself. But to me, it's also kind of like going back to the point of like feminism and just women's rights or whatever. It's also like understanding just like social structures in general, and like understanding how like to a point like we can be arguing like women, there's already women's rights, or there's already rights for black folks, or there's already rights for this, but it's also like to what extent. And it's also like understanding how like this country was built off exploitation and off the inequality in gender, sex, heterosexuality, and just like all of these ideas that being perpetrated, where like I don't think equality would ever like really be achieved through the kind of like laws and like constitution and all of these things that make up the United States, because again, this country was built off those ideologies that always perpetrate that kind of inequality. So it's more like a fight for like equity more than anything. Like inequality is one thing and equity is another, right? So it's like how do you achieve equity in this country? And that's like I don't know what I was going with that, but like it's understanding that how like structure, how like even though they're like the United States might say like, all right, but we gave you the right to vote, we gave you the right to whatever, we gave you this or what. It's like also to like what extent is it being applied, and to who is it being applied? Because
that's
again,
true.
It's like people benefit from these laws, and it's like people that that accept the fact that this country is great and it's built off freedom and like whatever, but it's like again like these ideologies that benefit certain people are still being perpetrated, whether we realize it or not. And I think it's being evident through these movements where people are still fighting for rights, whether it be gun rights, race, gender, whatever, It's like there's a bunch of things.
That's true. I can agree with you on that. I saw Kurt recently a video. I mean, it's kind of education. It is educational, but it's really one-sided. The whole it's really factual though. I don't know if you've seen the show. It's on True TV. Adam Ruins Everything. No, it's really funny. It's kind of like Fourth Wall Break with John Oliver in it, but this time it's a white guy. It's an American guy, and he's really like on the point. Like he does his research pretty well, and he has like his sources in the corner or whatever. And he was talking about the whole redlining and gerrymandering and stuff, and how like back then they did the whole redlining where the green houses were good houses, but those green houses or green neighborhoods were a part of highly majority white communities, and the red houses were disproportionately minority.
Yeah.
And so people would be like, okay, you want to get a house in this neighborhood, you need this loan. Well, if you're white and you're going to live in a white neighborhood, you're more likely to get the loan than the minority because it's just redlining. That's just how it is, regardless. Yeah. And so they try to abolish it, right? They did, and they did it, and with the law. And then after that happened, it still exists. Why? Because guess what? The majority of those neighborhoods are still white. They're still going to be white because the people who have the wealth, majority of the time, are white people, and they are able to get these loans. And African Americans or Hispanics aren't able to get those loans because they don't have the wealth, they don't have the money, or they don't have the credit, or they don't have the infrastructure to afford the house there. Yeah. And so it's really like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And so that can kind of like slide itself into what you were saying, where like, yeah, we're fighting for rights, and yeah, we get some stuff accomplished, some rules or some laws are applied to other people, or they're applied to everyone, but in reality, it didn't really fix anything. It's just a band-aid over it. It's not stitching it up. It's not taking care of it and then going back to it and saying, is this fully fixed? It's just saying, here's the solution. Let's see if it works. And then if nobody notices that it doesn't work, then we'll let it stay that way. And that's kind of like how the U.S. is going right now, where we're realizing there's a lot of laws we have to fix.
Yeah, and like going back to that redlining, how you said like even though it was like people noticed it and they try to like abolish it and stuff, like it took new forms, right?
Yeah, it did.
And it goes the same way with a lot of things. It's like you notice something's wrong, but guess what? Like the state is gonna find new ways to like continue perpetrating that ideology in new ways. So like even talking about like redlining, like even though it might not exist, but you can tell like in certain communities there's only certain folks that are living there with certain wages and certain like definitely, and certain like income, and that like it shows you like the neglect that the city like puts into like fixing schools, putting in money with the cities and like schools and like everything that would help benefit the community. So it's like even though it's not like being evident, it's not as evident as it was before, it's still being perpetrated in new ways. And I think a lot of it is also kind of what was I gonna go with this, but it's like fuck, I lost my train of thought.
You're good.
No, but
it's fine.